Hey everyone, and welcome. We're doing something really fascinating today, diving deep into the work of Dr. Gabor Maté.
Should be interesting.
You guys sent in selections from two of his books, When the Body Says No
Yeah,
and The Myth of Normal.
two really good ones.
They really do complement each other, don't they? So we're going to explore these hidden connections Maté lays out
Hmm.
between, your mind, your body, and even the culture we're all living in.
Right.
Hopefully, by the end of this deep dive, you'll have a much better understanding of how it all kind of fits together.
Absolutely. Especially when you're talking about things like childhood experiences, societal norms, things we don't always realize are impacting our health.
It's all connected, right?
Yeah.
One of the lines that really jumped out at me right from the start, it's in The Myth of Normal, a quote by Rebecca Solnit. She says, "Culture, more than nature, dictates our understanding of reality."
Wow.
Right. It's
Yeah.
like, whoa. And that's exactly what Mate keeps coming back to, this idea
Yeah.
that our culture tries to define what's normal, especially when it comes to stress, how we handle emotions,
Mm.
and often not in a very healthy way.
No, absolutely not. And it's so easy to just accept things as they are.
Yeah.
We don't even question why. And Mate, as a physician working with patients for years, he's seen firsthand how these systems, these really deeply ingrained systems, what he calls toxic culture,
Yeah.
can really mess with our well-being.
Yeah.
And he's not just talking about like individual quirks here. We're talking about the pressure to be on all the time to achieve this crazy level of success. It creates this undercurrent of stress that we don't even realize is harming us.
It's true.
And the thing is, for him, this isn't just theoretical. He gets really personal in The Myth of Normal, talking about his own childhood, being separated from his mother as a baby during World War II, and later on, not getting a lot of emotional support. He actually connects those early experiences to his own struggles with anxiety and suppressing his emotions, which I think is incredibly brave.
It is. It's really powerful
Yeah,
because it demonstrates that, our bodies keep score,
they do.
even when our minds try to forget.
Absolutely.
And that's a huge part of what he talks about in When the Body Says No.
Right.
All those bottled up emotions, especially from childhood,
Right.
they don't just disappear.
They don't.
They can manifest as physical problems later on in life.
Exactly. And he talks about the studies, the links between bottled up anger, things like cancer, ALS, even autoimmune disorders, which is pretty wild when you think about it. It makes you stop and think, huh, what messages have you received about how to be normal in the world? How to deal with stress, emotions, even success? Have you noticed a connection between your emotional state and how your body actually feels?
It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Like how much of this stuff is really us and how much is, the world we're living in.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's where it gets even more interesting, right? Because Maté doesn't stop with personal history. He dives into how society itself, like the very fabric of our modern world, can contribute to this, to stress, to even trauma.
Right.
He really emphasizes in both of these books that it's not just what we've been through individually, but the world we're living in can actually make us sick.
The water we're swimming in.
Exactly. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
And he gets into some really specific examples here.
He does.
Like the pressure on parents, especially mothers,
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
to be everything. Super caregivers, successful professionals, but also, have a life.
It's impossible.
It's a recipe for burnout.
And then you layer in the tech.
Oh, don't even get me started on the tech.
He talks about this company, Dopamine Labs, and their whole business model is helping tech companies make their products more addictive.
It's terrifying.
It's like they're intentionally designing these apps, these games to hijack our brains,
Keep us scrolling.
keep us hooked on that hamster wheel, yeah. And then you add in the loneliness epidemic on top of that. We're more connected than ever, but also more isolated. And it all just plays into that feeling like I'm not enough.
It's true. It's like the whole thing is set up to make us feel that way.
And he even has a term for it, the hungry ghost. This constant feeling of needing more, more, more. Whether it's stuff, achievements, or even attention, it's all fueled by this, this whole capitalist system that thrives on making us feel like we're never quite satisfied.
So what does this all mean for us? I mean, in your own life, where do you feel most supported by your environment? But also, where do you feel like it's adding to your stress?
Right. Like, are you constantly bombarded by messages about what you should be buying, achieving, looking like? Or do you have that community, those people around you that provide that sense of grounding and belonging?
It can feel kind of overwhelming though, right?
It can.
Like, how do we even begin to heal when the world just feels like it's like working against us.
Right.
And here's the thing I love about Mate. He doesn't leave us hanging in despair. He actually offers a lot of hope.
Yeah, he does.
Both these books, especially The Myth and Normal, really emphasize that we're not powerless. Like, we have more agency than we realize sometimes.
Absolutely. And, I think that's so important because it would be easy to walk away from this feeling kind of doomed.
Totally.
But he doesn't leave us there.
So where do we go? Like, how do we move towards healing? He talks a lot about the mind-body connection.
Right.
But what does that really look like in our everyday lives?
Well, for Maté, healing isn't just about, like, popping a pill or going to therapy, although those things can certainly have their place.
Of course.
It's about this deeper awareness of how our thoughts, emotions, even those past experiences are all connected to our physical well-being. It's like tuning in and listening to those whispers before they become screams.
Yeah.
He talks about something called compassionate inquiry, which sounds kind of complicated, but it's really not.
It's not.
It's basically asking yourself why, but from a place of curiosity, not from judgment. So instead of beating yourself up for feeling a certain way, it's like, okay, where's this coming from? Let me get to the root of it with some kindness.
It's about self-compassion, right?
Exactly.
Which he talks about a lot.
Yeah, and he challenges us to examine those deeply held beliefs that we have that might be holding us back. Like, how many of us believe that our self-worth is tied to how much we achieve or how productive we are? It's like a recipe for disaster.
Right.
He's all about cultivating that self-compassion, treating ourselves with the same kindness and understanding that we would offer a friend.
It's so important.
And he really walks the walk, too. He's open about his own experiences with ayahuasca, for example.
Right.
This plant medicine used in some traditional ceremonies. Now, he's not saying everyone should go out and try it, but, he acknowledges that there are many paths to healing, and it's about finding what resonates with you.
Right, finding what works. And, if there's one thing I hope you all take away from this deep dive into Gabor Maté's work, it's this. Your health, your experiences, your struggles, they all make sense.
They do.
They're not random.
They're connected.
They're connected to everything that you've been through, everything you've learned, the world that you're living in.
The water we're all swimming in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as you reflect on all of this, I want to leave you with this question from Maté, he says. What if, instead of asking, what's wrong with me, we start asking, what happened to me? How might that shift in perspective change how you see the world?
That's powerful.
It really is. And on that note, thank you all so much for joining us for this deep dive into the incredible world of Gabor Maté.
It's been great.
I hope this has given you some food for thought, maybe a little hope, and above all, inspired you to keep exploring. Until next time, keep diving deep, everybody.